Hi there, welcome. My name's Simon Gervin and welcome to Launching Agile Projects as we board the Inception Deck to understand another artifact in a bit more detail. Now this artifact is one that isn't actually in the original Inception Deck. It's one I've added because I found it so useful and it fits really well into the beginning part of a project and understanding what you're trying to do. But like many of the artifacts, it's also really powerful as a standalone tool, and you can find value in it in lots of different situations, whether or not you're doing this as part of an Inception Deck or not. It's called the Assumption Map. Now, this has been around for a while. The person that is attributed to inventing it is a guy called David Bland. The version I use is different though, and I've taken some inspiration from Toma and Osterwalder and changed it around a little bit because I found it works better. So I want to talk you through the version I use, not the original version. But the original version is really similar. Brainstorm your assumptions and map them onto a map with two axes. One, how important that assumption is to the success of your product, and the other, how much you know about it. And the original assumption map had the axes as known and unknown. The version I use, I've swapped that over for I have evidence to support this assumption or I have no evidence to support this assumption. I prefer this because I think it's clearer. Whether something is known or unknown is quite subjective. I might think I know it, you might disagree, but we can be certain of whether or not we have evidence to support that assumption. So I find the evidence-no evidence range on the axes to be far more powerful and to be much less ambiguous when developing this with teams. So what's it all about? Really, it's about trying to explore what are the assumptions that people have in their heads. So build this exercise with your team, with your stakeholders, and think through what it is that you just assume is going to be true. Of course people will buy it, they can afford it, it will run on their computer, they have space in their office for it. What are the assumptions around this product? And map them all out. Now, originally the way this was proposed was brainstorm your assumptions, map them onto the horizontal axis first, so whether they have evidence or they don't have evidence, and then map them onto the vertical axis. That works well. I find the other way works well as well, especially if you're doing this in a remote session on something like Mural, where it's quite a nice way to do it, to build a brainstorm area, have your brainstorm area with all your assumptions in it, and then map them into the vertical axis first, and then spread them across the horizontal axis. Whichever way works for you, it doesn't really matter. The important thing is to work out what's going to be in that top right-hand quadrant. What are the assumptions that matter a lot to the success of our product, but that we don't have very much evidence to support them? They're your experiments, they're your risks, they're the things you should decide, am I happy with that having no evidence, or do I want to do something to give me some evidence to support it? And like a lot of these artifacts, it's all about exposing information at the beginning of a product without spending a lot of time on it. These assumption mapping sessions might just be 40 minutes or an hour. They don't need to be a huge amount of time, but spend the time, understand your assumptions, share them with your team, share them with your stakeholders, and then decide whether to do something about them. The value is going to be in all those discussions, and it's in understanding why one person in your team assumes something is true and somebody else assumes it's not true. That's where you get the powerful clarity of what you're dealing with, and that's where you can really start building your team in a much more powerful way, focusing on the things that are going to be giving you evidence and focusing on the things that are going to be adding value to your product. So that's the assumption map, really powerful for lots of different situations and quite a few different versions of it. The template that I've got here you can download, the link's going to be in the comments, and I hope you find it useful. Thank you for listening. Join me next time on the Inception Deck when we'll be investigating another artifact in a little bit more detail. Bye now.